Good morning, Divine Feminines. I'm going to do a pick-a-pile today. Since I have very little time, I decided to do a really complicated reading with a lot of cards. Here's your piles. The first one is a moonstone agate, a moss agate moon. Second one is a crystal skull. Third one is golden healer heart. These are the crystals that have been coming up most in my private readings this week. So 3 and 2 will go off to the side. And I want to show you the bottoms of the deck. I'm going to do it in each pile. Page of Pentacles, you deserve love. I like you in reverse. And under that's the Runner. The Garden and the Gate. Now is not the right time. And Cyan, which has been coming up a ton in readings too. Which it's the biggest thing about Cyan is the word align. Okay. And before I started, they told me this was a lot about aligning the head with the heart, which seems to be pretty thematic this week. Oh yeah, I'm doing this. Okay. So moon. Oh, and this was the moon pile. How cute. I didn't know that. Moon, Fool reversed, 5 of Pentacles reversed, Knight of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, 2 of Swords, Anxiety, Queen of Cups, Cupid's arrow, turquoise, and I have a plan, but you have to trust me. So the first thing I kind of get from this is that there are things going on behind the scenes that you don't really know. And I also think you are making moves behind the scenes. And what I mean by that is more of an internal shift to kind of free yourself and to take off any kind of mask that you have. So, Fool and Ace of Pentacles, you know, that's an energy present. So the way I usually read reversals is like it's an energy that's present in the situation. It maybe is past, or it may be kind of being repressed, right? I think your masculine really ran from these deep emotions and didn't take the leap into this new beginning that he knew was like on offer to him. And I got this feeling that he really had difficulty accepting. Like, I do think he thought that this love was one thing, and he had difficulty accepting that maybe it was much, much deeper and much more profound than he originally thought. And, you know, this Knight of Swords card always gives me the impression that it's like my ghosting card, kind of. And that's just because of a feeling I get from it. It's like, yeah, he's this Knight of Swords, but he has a crossbow and also crossbow, right? And he's running away, and the birds, which are messages, is going with him. It's like he's withdrawing all of his communication. And here we see, you know, I think you wrestling with, sorry, that's what happens when we channel. We see you wrestling with integrating the past, present, and the future. And I think that's what this Align card is talking about. It's like you are figuring out the sadness in your heart here, you know, you are feeling, you are like healing and mending this rejection, abandonment feeling. That's what this Five of Pentacles is to me. And kind of realizing, I think, that in a lot of ways it's self-imposed, okay? So don't hate on me for that. But like, we really have this like protection mechanism that shields our heart, and the twin flame journey is about taking that off and being like, yeah, here's my heart, and this is who I am, and yeah, it might get hurt, but I know that loving is what it's for, and I'm gonna keep going, and it's okay if we don't align, right? If we don't match up. And I think what happened, what triggered him and you so much, is that there was this unresolved wound of, am I lovable? And this person really sees me, you really see him, he really sees you. And if they reject me, I will just be devastated, you know? So it does appear like he has a plan, because, you know, we see him crafting this pentacle here after this period of healing, and getting ready to do something. So he's integrating the past, present, and the future. Still a little, oh, look at that. Tarot's amazing. She's got a crossbow too. You are lovable. And under that, oh, you're gonna love this. The soulmate and reconciliation. What he is afraid of is actually saying, I like you, and I really didn't want this to end here. Will you forgive me? So it does appear there's a return here. This is not the right time, but I'm coming back soon. Will you forever forgive me? So I guess this cycle here is wrapping up for you guys. And when this happens, when this feeling of like you love yourself, you know, and there is something around like ownership and like you guys being able to be independent but also together. There is something about that here. I think that's kind of the next step on this journey, is that this relationship may not look super traditional. In fact, there may be something very unusual about it, and the structure of it, and also like you two being together, it may be like there may be quite a difference here. You know, the normal things are like, maybe you've been in a hetero relationship and this is, you know, not that. Maybe you've been with people who look like you on the outside and this is not that. Maybe you've been with people the same age as you and this is not that. Maybe there's a huge status difference. Maybe you guys sometimes live apart and sometimes live together. It's just, there's something here that society says that's not the right way to have a romantic relationship. And you two are figuring out it doesn't really matter what anybody says as long as we are okay with it and happy. And that's again like this beautiful integration of this is who I am and you can take it or leave it, but what matters is that I love myself and I know that I'm secure in who I am and I can choose what makes me happy. And I think that is the step after this one that you two will be brave enough to take together. But that's not quite here yet. But I do think when you have this, oops, I'm going to put those back. When you have this discussion, the next time you have this deep talk, and it will be a deep talk, that is one of the subjects that's difficult for you guys to kind of broach, because that means acknowledging feelings that are deep and profound. Okay, pile one, well, thank you for being here. Oh, it was 11:11 when I said that. So we're going to move on to pile two. Hello, pile two. You picked the crystal skull. I'm going to tell you the bottoms of the deck are Page of Pentacles. And I will use them in the significance of the reading. The Garden and the Gate. You deserve love. I like you in reverse. Now is not the right time. And Cyan. Okay. So pile two. As I was explaining in pile one. For me, most of the time, so I read intuitively, but most of the time a reversed energy means that energy is present, but perhaps it's from the past or being denied, or there's some aspect of it you guys aren't allowing into the now. Generally, I do not take reversals as a negation, right? So you two clearly love each other equally and reciprocatively. And this is kind of about what they're thinking and then like what's going to happen, like what needs to happen for this to progress, and which usually requires some sort of like healing acknowledgement energy. There looks to me here like there is kind of either a stalemate or a stagnation. It's like I feel like you are looking towards the future and you're saying like, I need these certain things to be happy. And one of them is a partner that loves me equally and gives to me equally. And I think in this particular relationship, I do see possibly somebody walked away, but I also kind of feel, I don't know why, but, and you have like the Hermit card, so probably you guys are in separation. I do feel like a strong tie is still there, a very strong bond still there. It's like you guys kind of went your separate ways and you aren't talking. You may like literally not even be able to see each other. And yet all of the emotion is like just as present as it's ever been for you and for him. If you're wondering that, because I feel like somebody is, even if you two are just like friends or you see each other wherever, work or around, there's still, it's like, I want to say that the way things look is very different than the way things feel. But it's like you can still sense it when you're around. It's very interesting. So if you're locked in a stalemate or you're just trying to do your own thing and move on, it feels like neither of you have moved on at all. I see the desire to do that for both of you. And yet, you know, the flames just still burn here. So, in order to move this forward, I think mostly he has been resisting inner child growth. There's some inner child growth that needs to be done, probably on both of your parts, and that's just an ongoing thing with twin flame. Specifically around forgiving and learning and being vulnerable. Like, as you release, so there's 2 cards here about releasing and healing the past. And you see this, like, they're kind of angels, but they also kind of look like ghosts, right? Your experience, you'll experience more love in your present moments. And this is, it says, relationship ending in the next phase, healing the inner child and growth. So you two both may be attached in like codependent other relationships and need to really learn the process of validating yourself. Now, we're not meant to be alone creatures in this life, but there is kind of a sense of wisdom and power that comes from learning to validate yourself and not constantly seeking validations from other people. And that's, you know, the inner child portion of it could feel like rejection or overly critical parents that were never satisfied. Or like, also I'm getting from some of you with this card, like maybe you had siblings that you had to compete with. And so you really see like love as a kind of a competition. That's just for a few of you. But there does seem to be this element here of like stonewalling or silence as a tool of power. And that, like, if you've ever studied John Gottman, he's a really good person. Like, his books are really clinical. But he does talk about like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in relationships. And the worst of them all, and this is like such a lesson for me too and everyone else, isn't it? The worst of them all is refusing, like stonewalling and refusing to speak to someone, because it will kill a relationship and love faster than anything else. So if you want to look him up, he has an institute called the Gottman Institute. He wrote a book called, he has a ton of work, but him and his wife, I believe, has a book called like The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. I think that's like his most famous book, but he has many other books about relationships. Specifically like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse of the relationship is really interesting thing to read about. And let me get a beat on what this card's here. This is really an Empress card for me. It's just kind of you seeing yourself in all of your splendor and glory, right? And understanding that other people's opinions of you are not what make you resplendent, is the word that they're using, which I would never use. Like glorious. Like they really want to highlighting like you are divinity on earth. This is very dramatic. You know, you are like the cherry tree. Just giving me these analogies. They're very poetic this morning. You know, the cherry tree blooms because that's what it does. and it doesn't see itself, and it doesn't get accolades for blooming. It just blooms, and it, it's abundant and full and beautiful and colorful and alive, and it doesn't need other trees to tell it, oh yeah, you're a really great tree. You know what I'm saying? And like, they're telling me our natural state is not to have to hear that, because normally we should have heard that in our upbringing, that they're saying that cup should have been filled in your childhood, and you should have been in a lot of ways praised just for being. But you two, they're really getting to it now, okay? You two maybe didn't have that as much as you should have, or maybe one of you, but generally those wounds are mirrored. And even in the absence of praise, you may have had very detached parents, or very reserved, withholding parents, or overly critical parents. And so, I always say this, it's like we're always doing the best that we can with what we have to work with. And people argue with me on that, like, well, what about liars? What about people that hurt other people? And I'm like, they literally think that this is the best option for the situation. As human beings, that's what we are doing. We are literally doing our best in any given situation. And sometimes the best is really dark and bad, like from another point of view. And whatever mistakes that your parents made, you now have the opportunity to grow out of them and to let them go, and to just say, yeah, they're my parents, but they were also just people trying to figure this out as they went along. And they really didn't know how to give me love, but I do know how to give me love, and I do know how to parent my inner child, right? And you can choose to like go through this metamorphosis of reparenting that part of you, if this is something, or if you don't feel like that's your story, because I feel like there's resistance from somebody here, then you can like literally walk through the steps and see if you're right. And in doing that, you're going to bring that to your twins, acknowledgement is what they're saying, but no, influence, like the sphere. You're going to bring it to them. It's going to introduce itself into their world, okay? And yeah, so that's what is going to happen here. And then after that happens, there's going to be able to be acknowledgement that you two want each other in your lives. Because right now that seems to be a little bit restricted on the giving, and that's why they're saying, okay. It took a little bit of time to get through there, but okay. So what are we at here? So hello, pile 3, 2350. You picked the Golden Heart Healer. I'm going to tell you the bottoms of the decks I've used, and they are playing a part in all 3 readings today. So we have Page of Pentacles, You Deserve Love, the Garden and the Gate. Now is not the right time, Cyan. I like you on top of the Runner and in reverse, and I like you in reverse on top of the Runner. You deserve love. Okay, the World. Again, I think we had the World in the first pile. No, sorry, we didn't. Now I have to look. What am I thinking of? Am I thinking of the Empress? No, I'm not thinking of anything. I'm thinking of the Moon. Okay. So, It's just reminding me of the same imagery here. Whatever, if you need to go watch pile 1, that might be helpful for you. So beautiful. We have the Ace of Cups upright. We finally have some acknowledged love here. We not only have the Page of Pentacles, but we have the King here twice. It being in reverse and on its side, and then the Knight of Wands, makes me feel like your masculine is really dangling some tea. They're being funny with me. Okay. I feel like there's a pressure here around time and around trusting this person, and you have a fear of your heart being misused. So I didn't have real intentions for this reading, but it turned out to be like what you need to heal to move to the next step in the readings. So you in particular, oh my God, we have the King and the Queen of Pentacles. Wow. You may have a choice. I don't really do this that often. You may have a choice between two people, now or in the future. And for a few of you, you could have made a choice. They do want you to be careful here because there are masks being worn, and I think maybe someone's trying to appear a little bit different than they actually are. Now you have 8 of Swords and 9 of Swords, and this is very difficult energy. And then you have deception and trust me, okay? So I think you have been lied to quite a bit in your life. This card actually says time to heal on it. So I'm going to try to bring through this message, though it's a little bit obscure right now. Pile 2 was like that too. It's like, okay. I feel like in a lot of ways, the messages that you and your twin have sent back and forth to each other, this could be, you could have been in separation a while, so it could have been a long time ago. A lot of the ways that you guys presented yourself were to kind of make yourselves look, this is not unusual. I mean, this is kind of what dating is a problem. As smart, intelligent, savvy, wanted, wealthy. There was a lot of secure. Okay, they're highlighting secure. A lot of the messages that you guys send to each other were about trying to look very secure. Now look at all of these birds and all of the pain that's hidden, okay? You guys tried really hard to hide your pain under these kind of like shiny facades. And now they're saying you guys were just like trading pain with each other. In the center of it all, right, in this bowl, is love. But you never really got to see the totality of who each other are. So I feel like right now, you guys are left with this impression of, you know, wow, I know there's something really special there. because you can feel it. You don't even have to see it, which is why it's so weird. It's like you can feel this person's energy. They can feel yours. It's very different. It's very much in your heart space that you feel it. And yes, there was a lot of attraction between you two. You see each other as very valuable, but it's not because of the messages and the things that you are saying, which they were saying that it's not really representative of who you are. And so it was really hard for you two to build trust between each other, especially because this triggered all of your fears around being lied to or deceived, or I think what this card is about is like the way that you saw your parents or other relationships. Yep, it's important because I'm burping. That they would call it love, but then they would like talk badly about each other behind the other's back, right? It's like you have a family and it's supposed to be a loving environment and it's supposed to appear to be a love environment, and then everybody's talking badly or lies about each other, right? Like it's not all out in the open. And there's this message here around the deception of communication and that being a factor in trusting. It's an important message. Because this will be on hold until you heal your ability to speak from your heart, okay? And that means being really secure in not only your heart chakra, but your throat chakra and your self-worth, right? It's similar but different to both the other two piles. You know, I feel like they were really good in giving 3 distinct messages about why these things happen and the wounding, right? And this is a wound of deception, which I don't think is technically a wound, but it plays into really like when you are deceived, you don't actually really feel seen or heard, and you can't really see or hear the other person. And so it's kind of like a form of rejection or abandonment. And also they're highlighting the other wound that is a, technical wound is injustice. There's a wound of injustice here, and it is about how your words create your physical world. It's like spiritually you feel all of this in your heart, and that's from your higher self and source. And physically, this is really profound. Physically, you're kind of acting one way, right? You're presenting a facade. And the thing in between those two things is your throat chakra. It's like, do you bring your spiritual heart into the physical world via your words? And you guys are learning a lesson around that. And that could have to do with creating, specifically like songs, music, poetry, art, anything like that brings the spiritual into the physical. This is a lesson on being very authentic with what you speak into the world. And the injustice that you do to yourself when you misrepresent your heart into the world. And it takes a lot of bravery and courage, right? A lot of Wands energy to be honest with the world about how sensitive and vulnerable you are. And yeah, that's the message. It's a beautiful message. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so now I hope that helps someone. Helped me. I'm going to get a couple message cards. So for all signs, we're at 35-31. Just a couple messages from your higher soul self, your twin, and see what they have to say to you. Beautiful. Trust. Transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, and I will add, and yourself, it will automatically transform. I love this card. Look deep within your heart. You will feel my love. My love for you is as deep as the ocean. Soulmate. Your soulmate is already with you in spirit. Believe it, and they will manifest physically. It's important right now to take a step back and spend time alone instead of placing your focus on another. Now is the time to give to yourself. Transformation. Your relationship with one another is about to deepen. Love conquers and transforms all things. Only time will tell. Close your eyes and tell yourself that you deserve to feel joyful. You can allow joy into your life regardless of the circumstances that you find yourself in. Wait, don't rush into it. Allow nature to take its course. Actually, I feel a card here. It's not here though. Oh, there's the healing card. Okay. My beloved, though we may be physically apart, spiritually we are always united. For love transcends space and time. Nothing is missing. When it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love. And then healing. Imagine yourself and your beloved surrounded by light. Feel your relationship being healed at this very moment. So I wish you a great love today, most especially for yourself. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.